Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
It's you and the senorita woofer blowing up the tweeter, cause it's me up in the speaker. Back in the mama seat, top down like a player, and the sound up in your ears, it is the dopest rhyme say. Running game like a cheater on ball.
So, did you ever hear P.G. Wodehouse, legendary English author? A lot of people kind of he's an interesting character because he had a hard time in England. He left for America and kind of finished out his life in the States. And his stories sort of reflect that. But he is one of history's great writers. He's a humorist. But his work, a lot of people say, not just me, is on a par with Shakespeare. I like it better than Shakespeare. Shakespeare that you can, it's use of a language that you can understand without the elitism. He uses language to reach people as opposed to distancing himself from people. And you ever hear him talk about how he started writing? He said, quote, "I know I was writing stories when I was 5. I don't know what I did before that. Just loafed, I suppose." How do you fall asleep at night? See, a lot of people watch TV. Some people like to read. More and more often, I think a lot of us turn to our phones. That's the main form of interacting with the rest of the world in this day and age, and that's not new news. But I think a lot of people lie in bed, ignoring their significant other, going through their Instagram or Twitter or Facebook feed. And I kind of sort of did the same thing as well. You know, see, whenever it comes to abusing social media, I have the unfortunate fallback that it is, in fact, part of my job. So as I'm paging through people's mindless Facebook posts and Twitter rants and things of that nature, I can be like, this is sort of part of my profession. It's okay to be doing this. And then I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was in me. But I'm flipping through what people have to say on the medias of the social variety the other night. I'm like, this is crap. This is garbage. This is people screaming for attention, feeling as though they deserve it because they've scaled the dizzying heights of having an internet connection. Why am I wasting my time on this? And pretty much my favorite author of all time would be P.G. Wodehouse. And so I was like, all right, let's put the phone down, pick up some Wodehouse. And if you are insistent on being permanently connected to the phone, I think you can get a bunch of his best books for free on like various e-reader apps. It's great. That part of digital technology I love. The instantaneousness of which you can start with which you can start your enjoyment of something like that is fantastic. Wouldn't give that up for anything. But I like to read. I like to pull out a book. Like the whole sort of olfactory thing of the smell of the pages and the dust that I have to like brush off, which is probably not good for the old allergies to be bringing all the dust mites that probably live in a book into the bed. But whatever. I decided I would read this author that I loved growing up. And it was crazy. It was crazy how quickly a part of my brain that has been dormant for an interminably long amount of time seemed to come alive. All of a sudden, I'm sucked in. I'm laughing to myself. I'm page turning. These stories that I've read a million times when I was a kid, kind of like an early precursor to Seinfeld. No hugging, no learning. And funnier and smarter every single time you enjoy them. Wodehouse's stories. And I'm not saying rush out and pick up some P.G. Wodehouse. But I am saying there are infinitely better things that you can do for your heart and your mind than scrolling through your friend's Facebook feed. P.F. Chang's worst Chinese food ever. Too salty. Thumbs down. Or, there is only one cure for gray hair. It was invented by a Frenchman. It's called the guillotine. Beautiful. Amazing. Just a little sentence. There's books and books and books full of this stuff. Unbelievably enriching, and it will touch your heart and your mind in a way that just your buddy's rants on Facebook are not gonna. When I first started in talk radio, one of the grand dragons of talk told me something very important. He said, when you read the news, the listener will forget it immediately. If you tell them a story, it will live in their hearts forever. So I encourage you to pick up a story tonight in bed. Put the phone down, pick up a story. And because of the value of storytelling, we are privileged to have award-winning storyteller Sam Firestein on the show with us today. Thank you so much for hanging out.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
I do what I want, when I want, how I want. Every day you're going and working, running that rat race at that pace in that place will leave a bad taste for anyone, everyone working day after day. So buddy, I gotta say, for you, there's gotta be a better way. Yeah, and you do what they told ya. Company man, feel it, a mindless little soldier. How can you live like that and maintain your composure before it's begun? Your life's already freaking over. Yeah, I do what I want.
Before we get into the meat of the show today, which is basically us being regaled by award-winning storyteller Sam Firestein, who's on the show today, I wanted to share with you one more quote from P.G. Wodehouse. And if this doesn't make you want to rush out and pick up one of his books, well, no judgment, but it really should. He said, quote, "He was a tubby little chap who looked as if he'd been poured into his clothes and had forgotten to say when." It's amazing. P.G. Wodehouse. The Jeeves and Wooster books especially are an unbelievably amazing, edifying read. Do yourself a favor, pick one up today. Yep, that's what I have to say about that. And I will remind you that it's free on a bunch of e-readers if you are so interminably connected to your cell phone that you can't give that up. Hey, I think today on the show, Sam's talking about prom season, right? Are we right, Sam?
Yes.
Have you observed sweaty teens wearing sort of like the... I think that's my favorite thing. It's like really uncomfortable to wear a tuxedo even when it's temperate and nice outside. What, like perfect tuxedo weather is still really uncomfortable, and you're going to have things riding up, going into crevices where you don't want stuff, and you're going to be sweating profusely from areas that you don't want to sweat from. So watching teenagers uncomfortably do it during prom season when it's entirely too warm to be wearing anything of that nature is pretty much one of my favorite parts of this time of year. And you're going to be talking a little something about that.
Greatest years of our lives. Greatest years of our lives.
Did you wear prom to your text? Did you wear?
Did I wear a
Did you wear a tuxedo to your
tuxedo?
prom? Did you wear prom to your tuxedo?
Did I wear a prom to my tuxedo? I can't really. More will be revealed in the next segment.
Oh,
That's
well,
about as all I can tell you about that.
Okay.
And
All
as
right.
far as it goes of like looking at, the sweaty taffeta and tuxedo covered crevices of teenagers, that doesn't feel like something two adult men should really be discussing.
I was just,
at least live on the air.
Well, no, I think the thing is, like, how often do you, like, Sam and I are in some ways cut from the same cloth in that we've worked incredibly hard for not very much money for the entirety of our lives so we could do one thing and one thing only, not wear a suit and a tie to work. Like, I business casual is shorts and a t-shirt for me, and it is for Sam as well, right? You never have to dress up, do you?
Rarely, unless I have to go into a meeting.
Right. See? There you go. And when you do dress up to go into a meeting, is there a tie involved? Are there buttons? No,
unless
there's
my
not.
meeting is at court.
Yeah, like your version of dressed up is very different from the rest of the world's. What do you do? V-neck sweater? That looks classy with my jeans and my sneakers? That's your version of dressed up? Because that's my version of dressed up.
No, I'm not really a V-neck kind of guy. It's just it'll be one of the nice T-shirts. And one of the better pair of jeans. Oh, yeah. No, I pretty much have one uniform. And again, that's the thing, though. You could be sitting, like, agents, attorneys, those people have to wear suits and ties. And then you show up looking like a guy delivering food. Mm-hmm. And it's all perfectly reasonable.
It's all perfectly reasonable. And I think like my prom,
I get a tip on the way out too. So
see, yeah. So I think my prom experience, like that, those occasions where you have to wear a suit, like picture day at school or like prom, like those were like so uncomfortable. I remember some kids just seemed to.
Prom is a tuxedo, which is like you already have like that suit you hate because no high school kid looks good in a suit, right? You just. It's the most uncomfortable photos from childhood is when your parents start dressing you up as a little kid and it's always in a suit. It never looks good. I mean, some of the most horrible pictures of me are from my bar mitzvah where I was just this like big lub of meat just stuffed into this 3-piece Pierre Cardin thing where Pierre Cardin with my giant fat neck spilling over the tie and the thing, and it's all choked up. And of course, they then go out and hire...
Wait, you were a fat kid?
Oh, there was a technical term for me, and it's tubby bitch. I exploded. The summer between 2nd and 3rd grade, I showed up to a buddy's birthday party the day before, 2 days before 3rd grade started, and my friend Aaron looked at me and he just goes, "Oh my God, what happened to you?" I mean, I had just... It was. I went Augustus Gloop over that summer. Oh, it was awful. I was like the Grimace out of the McDonald land, and so it was terrible. And then years later, I'm still fat at my bar mitzvah, and not only am I stuffed into a suit, but then they hire a professional photographer to document this.
To document it,
Right?
Let's make sure every neck roll is captured. Every sweaty neck roll.
Wide-angle lens jokes now. It was just awful. And then there's that big book. The big photo album. And then you got to go and review all the photographs. And they're talking about, we can touch this one up here and touch that one up there. But and this is back in the days when it was film, and they couldn't just
Yeah, there wasn't an app that made you look like you've been eating salad for 3 weeks straight.
No.
Every sweaty, greasy neck roll of fat captured in glorious Technicolor.
I look like I've been eating taco salads nonstop.
More with Sam when we get back. Thank you so much for hanging out. Hey, Funkhauser. About 10 with puppies in my face, and Dad gotta join the human race. Time for a yawn and a stretch and a walk, you see. They know my order at the restaurant across the street. That's why when I shuffle in, my coffee's already waiting for me. Breeze on the patio out.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radioland. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on, come on. That's the way you do what we do. That's the way you do what we do. That's the way you do what we do. You do what we do. You do what we do. That's the way you do what we do. That's the way you do what we do. That's the way you do what we do. You do what we do. You do what we do. Well, it's a new one. Here I come again, coming again, taking it back to the...
So we are privileged to have award-winning storyteller Sam Firestein on the show today to regale us with a story of prom season. Take it away, Sam.
It was the end of May, 1986, and I was a senior in high school, and I was just kind of like lazily wandering to class because I got to tell you, it was the Tuesday after Memorial Day weekend. I just spent the holiday down in Newport Beach. There was like a less than a month left to this nonsense that we called high school. And I could not care less anymore. It was the most epic case of senioritis. And I'm just like, I want to be done already. And I'm wandering to class. And this giant fleshy arm just reaches out and grabs me and like tucks me in tight. And I was like, oh, dear God, no. Because it was the headmaster from my school, this guy Harvey. That's his first name because I went to this, well, it was just a big piece of crap. I mean, it was such a piece of crap little private school, but it was also allegedly very progressive. So we were all on a first name basis with the teachers and the headmasters and everybody else. But the fact was, I mean, it was such a bad school that it eventually just like rebranded as like catering to special needs kids, but not officially because they didn't have the official like designation for that. But it's like, if you can't afford a real school for special needs kids, then this is where you send them. That's where I graduated from high school. And this guy, he reaches out and he got me just tucked into his flesh. And he goes, Sam, what is this that I'm hearing about that you're not going to prom? And I'm like, crap. And I look at him, I go, yeah, I couldn't get a date. I asked 4 different girls and none of them could go. So, no date, no prom, right? And it was true, right? Like ish. Like I'd asked 2 girls to go. Neither of them went to my school because, it was a small school and the pickings were pretty well picked over. But, these girls were awesome. They were juniors at 2 of the far, far better, private schools in Los Angeles. And amazingly, they both had this same AP super achievement. People are going to go on and have a bright future kind of lives. They had this test for people like that the day after my prom. This test was happening at UCLA and they couldn't be out all night at prom. So neither one could go. And, I had no date. And everybody at school was looking at me like, dude, you're such a loser that you can't get a date to prom. And yeah, I was pretty broken up about the whole thing. Yeah, sure was, So to make myself feel better, I immediately turned around and drowned my sorrows and all the money that I would have spent on a tuxedo, limo, hotel, flowers, and tickets to the ball on a girl who wouldn't sleep with me. And I spent that money on tickets to the Amnesty International Conspiracy of Hope concert. And while all of the kids from my school were going to be eating bad chicken, in a hotel ballroom, I was going to be at the Great Western Forum, home to my beloved Lakers, seeing Lou Reed, Sting, Peter Gabriel, and U2 share the stage. Like literally all of them in one concert. And now look, keep in mind, this was 1986. Concerts like this didn't exist. Lollapalooza was still 5 years away from being created. Coachella was 13 years away. This was huge. This was amazing, right? And the thing was, honestly, I had no idea who or what Amnesty International was. And I didn't care. It could have been the Hamas concert for terrorism, and I still would have gone because this was going to be the greatest concert since Woodstock, and I had tickets. I was going, and even better, it was happening the exact same night as my prom. So, boo-hoo-hoo, I'm such a loser. I can't go to prom. But the thing was, I could not say any of that to Harvey. There was no way I could say any of it. And I just, look at him like, I can't get a date. And he was a really big guy and he's just he's got me in one of those holds where it's a little bit too tight. And he says to me, Sam, you are the senior class president. You picked the date for prom. You booked the ballroom, the DJ, and the caterer. You're going to prom. Okay, yes, I did do all of that, but I didn't know that the greatest concert ever in the history of concerts was going to be on the exact same night. It wasn't like Lou Reed called me up and said, Sam, keep June 6th open. No, and, oh, and the thing was, the reason why I booked it all, okay, this is how bad my soon-to-be special needs school was. They'd originally booked the prom to happen after graduation. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? So, you know what I did? I did what all good senior class presidents would do. I made things happen. I found the last ballroom and the last DJ and the last caterer available, which also meant that it had to be on a Friday night because, all the normal proms were happening on Saturday and everything was booked, but we were able to squeeze into this one ballroom on a Friday night. And I got it all booked. And just as I took the signed contracts from my school and I dropped them off at the hotel, I got back in my car, turned on my radio and heard, Amnesty International, the most amazing concerts ever are happening on June 6th. And I'm literally like, no, don't, ugh. But I knew what I had, like, I still, like, I did my part, right? I did the right thing. I still asked 2 girls to go to prom with me. I made best efforts. And they came up short. I did my part. I was going to the concert. But like I said, I couldn't tell Harvey any of that. And I just looked at him with the saddest, teariest eyes that I could muster. And I said, but Harvey, it's next week and I don't have a date. And Harvey just kind of looked at me with that same kind of appreciation that a prison guard has for an inmate. And he said to me, he goes, Sam, if you're not at prom, I won't let you be in the graduation ceremony. I'm like, oh, dude, Harvey, come on. And he's like, get a date, Sam. Flash forward 10 days later, June 6th, 1986. The Forum is coming unglued. Like literally 17,000 people are just packed inside, rocking out like freaking madhouse, man. And the thing was, like the concert, so there was a whole bunch of bands that opened up, like, but total who cares, right? Like I people I didn't care about at all. Joan Baez, Neville Brothers, Brian Stupid Canadian Adams. But the headliners, right? Like Lou goddamn Reed and Peter Gabriel, like Peter freaking Sledgehammer Gabriel, right? That's the biggest song of the year, and tens of thousands of people are stomping and rocking out, and like they're all singing, I'll be your sledgehammer. It was insane. It was just blistering inside of the Forum, right? And then Bono comes out on stage and he says to the crowd, ladies and gentlemen, this is my Irish accent, ladies and gentlemen, I am very sorry to say Sting will not be performing tonight. And then the whole place just erupts with like screaming boos, right? They're just booing and booing. And Bono screams over the noise of the crowd and he goes, but in his place, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Police. And the curtain drops and boom, there they are, the Police, who have been broken up for 2 years. Like Sting reunited the band as a surprise, and the Police are playing their first concert together. This is something that wouldn't happen again for 22 years. And simultaneous to that, 12 miles to the north, on the 8th floor of the Universal Sheraton, me and a few other guys are dragging the lifeless body of this overweight redheaded girl who's collapsed in a cocaine-induced diabetic fit, and we're dragging her out of my hotel room. And we had to get her out of my hotel room because there was just a bunch of like screaming drunk teens who were rioting. They just lost their minds and they're going nuts and they're throwing burning trash off the balcony. And we were, trying to get this girl from my room to her boyfriend's room because hotel security and a team of paramedics were on their way up. And, I didn't want to get arrested. So look, no, obviously I did not go to the concert because, what happened was, Harvey knew me, and he knew me way too well. And that day that he told me to get a date and go to prom, well, I came home from school, and my parents were there looking at me going, why are you not going to be graduating from high school? What the hell is this crap that you're not graduating from? How are you? Harvey had doubled down, and he called my folks, and what they heard about, like, not walking in a graduation ceremony, they interpreted as it's like, you are not going to prom. Or you are not getting out of high school. And my idiot older brother, who was not only a high school dropout, but a junior college dropout, well, he kind of spoiled that well for me. I was going to goddamn prom, and I was there. And yes, I got a date. Her name was either Sherry or Karen. I don't know. She was a twin. I had never spoken to her before. I didn't know which one I took then, and I still don't know. I was sitting next to her at lunch the next day, and she goes, are you going to prom? And I just looked at her and I said, why? Do you want to go? She said, yeah. I went, all right. That was it. That was the extent. We didn't even talk that much. That was more than we even spoke at prom. It was horrible. Prom was the saddest affair that you could imagine, and it doesn't even warrant being spoken about. But for some reason, we had all decided to get hotel rooms, and we did. And I went out to get a bag from my car after the prom, and I come back up to my hotel room, and this guy, Craig, had let the entire prom into my room, including this guy, Rob, who I'm like, what is Rob doing here? He had a giant pile of cocaine. And Craig looks at me and goes, dude, he's alumni. I'm like, Craig, he just got thrown out of school for selling drugs. Do you even know what alumni means? Because that's not what it means. And so kids are literally like screaming and yelling, and they're just drunk kids who can't handle their drugs. Rob is doing as much blow as he's doing more blow than he's actually selling. And he's starting to lose his mind. And then I'm just watching the redheaded girl. She is just a mess. And she's saying to her boyfriend, buy me. And the redheaded girl and her boyfriend were hilarious looking. They were both like albino white, bright red hair, both wearing, like, she was in this white dress with pink ribbons everywhere. And he was in a white tuxedo with tails with a pink cummerbund and a pink tie. And he starts counting out his money, and she's going, buy me some Coke, buy me some Coke, buy me some Coke. And he starts counting out money. He has $11. And he goes to Rob. And Rob at this point jumps up and goes, everybody get away from my blow. And then the kid looks at him and goes, hey, Rob, what can I get for $11? And Rob just looks at him and just reels back and punches him in the face and explodes his nose, right? So now he's like covered in blood on his white tuxedo, and then his girlfriend drops, and she just passes out, and she's lights out on the floor, right? And we're all there. I'm like, my God, what's happened? And then this girl, Jessica, says, she goes, oh, yeah, She's diabetic, and she hasn't eaten anything but carrots and Diet Coke for like a week trying to lose weight for the prom. I'm like, oh, my God. We call 911. No, we call the hotel lobby, tell them to call 911. Then we get the boyfriend's room key to his room. We run out, open her door. A bunch of us grab the body, and we drag her off. And prom, greatest years of our lives. Yes, she survived. And I'm just going to say this. Whoever said high school is the greatest years of your life never went to high school.
Jamming on the one like Theo Huxtable. Days like this when I feel untouchable. I try and make up for all the wrongs I did by living my life like a Cosby kid. Jamming on the one like Theo and Stevie. I know it sounds crazy, but you gotta believe me. When I feel like I just can't make it through, I try to think, what would Cliff tell Theo to do? Man, sometimes it's just so hard to be a good person, to lift yourself up and try to be that better version of all the potential people that you got living in your mind. It takes more than happy chance and circumstance. You gotta decide that you're gonna keep your head up and treat people how you want to be treated. Hold doors and be polite. Try not to be conceited.
Now, more AD on the radio.
Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you a musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AD again. Nobody rock a party better than me. Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you a musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AD again. Nobody rock a party better than me.
So, Funkhauser, did you go to your high school prom? Was that a thing for you?
Yeah.
How was it?
Not like Sam's.
Sam's time in high school, maybe he's growing up in... where'd you grow up, Sam? In Los Angeles, right?
Yeah, in Los Angeles.
Like, I went to kind of a crazy school in England, like a bunch of international kids, and we got up to some hijinks, but our prom was nowhere near as colorful as that. This
was the era of less than zero, right? It was like the area I grew up in is what Bret Easton Ellis wrote Less Than Zero about. And, when that book came out a couple years later, everybody was like going through it, talking about like, oh, this was this party and this was that party. And everybody
no
knew.
kidding.
Oh, yeah.
You could read that book and know that it was.
Well, they were all a couple years older.
You'd attended some of those parties?
No, not for me, because I was a couple years younger than them. But, other people that we knew, like everywhere you went in like a certain sort of like radius of Los Angeles, like everybody was at least claiming to have known somebody in the book or knew somebody that knew Brett. And I actually ended up knowing one of his sisters a little bit later. And, but yeah, that was, it was, lots of drugs, lots of, not for me though, not for me. I would never do such a thing, but some kids, terrible.
My prom had very civilized drinking at it between students and teachers. Like, we're buying each other drinks. Because, like, in England, drinking age is 18. But if you have, if you are supervised by somebody over the age of 18, you can drink from the age of 16. So, that being the case, the prom permission slip, I'll never forget, had a little thing like, check this box if your kid is allowed to drink alcohol. And everybody's parents were like, yes, sure, fine, that sounds refined. And like, so like everybody got quietly sloshed with their high school teachers. It was a much more civilized affair, but still, like when you tell people in America that happened, they're like, really? You got tanked with the guy that taught you, 10th grade biology? Like, yes, we did.
Oh, yeah. Well, my school was so bad that we actually, we would party with the teachers like after hours sometimes, like at grad night. At grad night the year before, a few of the cooler, younger teachers showed up at this party at this girl's house. Well, one really good friend of mine hooked up with a teacher, and a married teacher.
I do remember once. I do remember once.
Pretty incredible.
I do remember once at a. Do remember once at Waterloo Station in London, like where like Waterloo Station was sort of like the jumping off point. Like if you were going to go hang out in London, you started at Waterloo. And I remember being at Waterloo Station with some friends from school and seeing, hey, wait a second, isn't that that's a biology teacher? Isn't that that girl in the 11th grade? Why, yes, it is. Well, that seems strange to us. Like, it really seems not okay. But they must be on some sort of independent study field trip. Yeah, that we'll just tell ourselves that. And then like 3 years later, after she graduated, they were married. And it just like made you go, all right, that's sweet that they're married. And you know what? To the best of my knowledge, they're still together to this day. So it all worked out. But he definitely started having sex with her when she was in the 11th grade, I'm guessing. It's weird. Very strange. But I don't know. It's and because it was England and like the age of consent in England is 16, legal.
I thought it was like 9 with all the buggering you guys do at boarding school.
Funkhauser, we can bleep that for the affiliates in other markets, right?
Probably.
Oh, was I not allowed to say that?
Well, we'll find out. But yeah, I like, so she was like, she must have like been about 16 when they started dating.
And how old was this guy? Like 38?
No, he was a younger teacher. Like he was in his 20s, but I'm going to guess he was sort of like his early to, like when you're that age, everyone seems just, there's no real, between the ages of 22 and 42, they just seem adult and you're not, is the thing. So it was like, wow, she's with an adult. We are not adults. She's not adult.
27-year-old guy with a 16-year-old girl. He just creepy.
Oh, yeah. No. I mean, hear me on this. Legal and above board, morally reprehensible, and probably a firing offense from the school. But they kept it. They kept it on lockdown for long enough to where nobody got in trouble, and they're happily married today with numerous children.
Do you really call her having like Stockholm syndrome for the old creepy old man who took advantage of her a loving marriage?
I don't know if it's loving or not. Haven't spent quality time with them, but I do. Funny you bring up the police because I always think like, hey, look, their life is like what would have happened if everything in that police song came true. Like that is "Don't Stand So Close to Me," and
on principle,
like
maybe we should
just
arrest Sting.
Funkhauser, was there anything notable that happened at your prom?
No.
That's a great story there, Funk.
It was at a Holiday Inn in Thousand Oaks.
Uh-huh.
Yippee!
Holiday Inn in Thousand Oaks. Oh my God!
Yeah.
Was that like? Where did you go? Like DeVry?
Did anything noteworthy happen? Did anybody get arrested? Were there piles of drugs the way there were in Sam's high school experience? Like,
just a box of
bellboy.
box
of
I did have. There was one girl. There was one girl that it was funny. There was one girl who at prom. I was thinking my prom was really boring until, it was kind of like an American school. So it was I don't know. I don't know if they would have prom in English schools. I'm not sure if that's a thing. They have like school dances and stuff. I'm not sure if they have a big one. They're very big on throwing balls in England, like winter balls, summer balls, spring balls. Let's say balls a few more times, but they were very into throwing balls in England. So I don't know if that was their equivalent of the prom, but I do remember one girl. I thought my prom was totally unmemorable, but I just remember there was this one girl that was in my gym class that said, like, I've always looked at you in your shorts and wanted to hang out with you more and show you something. I was like, what? And she took me into a closet and whipped them out. And I was like, oh, wow, that's something that will live in my mind for absolutely ever. They were impressive. I never called her. It's probably a mistake.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The Dumbing Up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
So I suppose we should roll through some news before we bounce today, Funkhauser, just so we can feel like we did a show as opposed to completely lean on on Sam Firestein to carry everything today with his incredible story of prom. You want to read some news, Funk?
Hey, should we stick with the theme of like old men and being inappropriate with women?
Where are you going with this?
Judge Bill Cosby to stand trial for assault charges.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, is this new? Like I thought it was already happening. Like,
Well, no. This was posted in the last few minutes that he's been in court all morning in I believe somewhere in Pennsylvania, and
home of the pudding pop.
Yeah, or is he and I know, like, without even the slightest bit of irony, not making this up, or as he called it on numerous comedy albums, Filthy Delphia. Like, I'm not even joking.
You know what? God, I would love to read the transcripts of what's going on in court and find out if that was just admitted.
Lots of Z's. Zip, zap, zip, zip.
Yeah, I think that was a problem with his dates. Too many Z's. Seems like an appropriate time to zippity dip in the dippity doo.
Cosby faces 3 counts of felony indecent assault, as opposed to decent assault, like from a 2000.
Well, wouldn't decent assault be like just punching someone in the face? Indecent means sort of like messing with their nether regions.
I guess, but you just can't. Well, you would never say decent assault. That was
No, but I mean, it's the difference between indecent assault and just assault. Like, wouldn't indecent be messing with somebody in a sexually inappropriate way, and assault could be any time you cause harm to somebody else?
Spoken like somebody who's had a. Where did you go to law school? Was it Harvard or Yale?
I did grow up in a family.
You're a total Yaley. You are a Yaley.
It's funny you should say that. My grandfather went to Yale, and I come from a family of lawyers. We've never had the indecent assault. We've never had the indecent assault conversation around the dinner table, but we have argued the vagaries of the law. And I feel because I sat next to them during these conversations, I'm qualified to weigh in.
Well, you're related to more attorneys than I am, so you will now be the legal expert on your own show.
Yeah, it's true. I am my own Bill Handel. All right, Funkhauser, what is going on in the world?
President Obama is visiting several countries in Asia this week.
Really? That's the news?
Yeah.
Are you sure you've got the right news?
Didn't he have dinner with Anthony Bourdain yesterday?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. In Vietnam, right? Anthony Bourdain sat on a plastic stool drinking. Anthony Bourdain is, I really enjoy watching his shows. I really do. Mostly because I think every broadcaster looks at what he does and goes, I screwed up. That's what I should be doing. I should have been working toward that my entire life. Everything I do is crap. No, here's another Maroon 5 song. Let me pretend I enjoy what I do. And you look at Anthony Bourdain and what he's done as a broadcaster and how he's managed to do everything, and that is super cool. And I can appreciate that. However, he has this thing where he rails against hipsters all the time. He's just like, this is, look at these hipsters. Look at, and here's the thing. His picture of him with Obama was the most studiously disaffected hipster thing that I've ever seen in my life. It popped up on my Facebook feed, and I was just like, oh, I like Anthony Bourdain. What's he doing? He was like, great beer and cheap noodles, which were delicious. No mention of the fact that he's sitting across a little plastic table from President Obama. That's just a thing I did. I was just like, hipster, you have become what you hate. That studiously disaffected thing that he just pulled off there, I was like, oh, come on. I'm sure he cares what I think, but that's what I think. Go on.
Hillary Clinton says Donald Trump's unreleased tax return will show he pays no taxes.
Yeah.
So he's just like Apple and Exxon and everybody else.
And people are like, oh, sure, now you know what's going on behind your back. Absolutely. Now you're crystal clear and very aware of it. Sam, do you think he should have to divulge his tax information in the run-up to being leader of the free world?
Sure. I mean, look, if his wife can stand on the wing of an airplane in a G-string holding a gun and flashing her ass... then I'm going to need to see just a little bit of more substance out of the guy before November.
I disavow, okay?
It's an interesting one because, presidential candidates, is there any stipulation that they need to divulge their tax stuff? Is there? Because, right when he was announcing his presidency, he said what he was worth. And people were just like... He's doing this solely so he can brag about how much money he's got in the bank. And he did it sort of like, I want to be totally crystal clear. The amount of money I have is huge. But, I do that because I'm announcing my candidate. When he announced he was running for president, with that came a blow-by-blow account of just how much more money he had than the rest of us.
Right, so, but there's also, he said something to the effect of, it's like, the amount of money I have sometimes depends on my mood. And there's speculation. He talks about things in billions. People have said, "Oh no, he only has maybe 100 million." I mean, which is significant money, but it's not billions.
Well, when you're the king of everything, if those Robert Kiyosaki infomercials taught me nothing, it taught me anything, it was the fact that the rich dad poor dad guy said, the rich use corporations and give themselves certain tax advantages. So on paper, they have nothing. But really, you can buy your house and write it off. You can buy your jet and write it off. It's Trump's jet, but it's his company's jet. But did his personal income pay for it? No, it didn't. When you get yourself into a position like that, isn't the amount of money that you actually personally have an incredibly squirrely thing?
I'll let you know when I get there. Yeah. Just as soon as I get my own line of Omaha steaks.
Oh. Have you ever ordered the Omaha steaks?
No, I don't like my meat to come through the mail.
I've had considerable experience. I've had considerable experience with freeze-dried meat products.
And
it is
into
kind of
childhood trauma.
No, it's like it is magical when you order the I saw a Groupon for Omaha steaks. I was like, ooh, like the rich people, cool. I'm gonna give that a go. Like I'm gonna see what that's like because it was a really good deal. And Omaha steak's not bad, but my favorite part of the whole thing was getting sort of like a styrofoam cooler with meat packed into ice, and you open up the top, and all this dry ice like shoots it looks like you're doing a magic trick, and all you're doing is opening the mail. That part of it is the best part. The Omaha steaks, kind of sort of okay, but getting them in the mail is the most fun part of the whole thing. I would advise you to do it at least once.
Yeah.
Stay away from the fish, though. That doesn't freeze so well. It's funny because it's true, but yeah, stay away from the seafood option on that particular menu. But I would advise everybody at some point.
I really try not to order my seafood from a landlocked state in the Midwest. I don't know. There's
the best tilapia Omaha has to offer.
How many stopovers did that fish have to be on?
Yeah, I guess if you live in California and you could go to the ocean and pick some up that had been caught that afternoon. Ordering your seafood from Omaha, probably not the move. I was living in Texas at the time. It made perfect sense. Like you could have oily Gulf Coast fish, or you could get something from clear Omaha. It was flaky. It didn't hold together on the George Foreman grill. Is the problem.
I'm going to cook my Omaha steak fish on my Foreman grill.
Hey, I was living a very classy existence at the time, and believe me, the irony was not lost on me. This is fish I got in the mail from the Midwest, and I'm going to cook it on an electric thing that has been sold to me by a former prize fighter. What's wrong with this picture? Everything and nothing all at once. Well, guys, more news.
Donald Trump wants to build a wall to protect an Irish golf course from rising sea levels.
Right. Rising sea levels and people that aren't white. Go on.
A class action lawsuit says that Fitbits are inaccurate.
Yeah, okay. Either you have a Fitbit.
Mm-mm.
No, because they're inaccurate.
Did you feel like they were inaccurate when you heard about them?
Well, I've heard that they're okay for judging walking. But beyond that, because I've looked into it, because I am a hard carved, chiseled god, really, when it comes down to it.
When you said you were a fat kid, it made no sense. I was like, Sam's like in the best shape of anybody we know. It's ridiculous. You were fat, and now it's sort of starting to make sense because you're so dedicated to fitness, and I think that you're probably carrying some childhood damage, courtesy of. Do you, as motivation, do you tack one of those bar mitzvah photos up on the fridge?
No, I don't. I have little sayings up on my fridge like, "You're fat and nobody loves you."
Should have a little saying.
Eat a carb and die.
You should have a little saying on your fridge that says, "Whatever you do, don't allow yourself to backslide the way AD did." Go on.
Actually, I just have a picture of you on my fridge. It's a smile.
Yeah. That'll stop anybody from wanting to eat.
No, but I was going to get a Fitbit because I train CrossFit every day, and I was like,
wow,
let's use this.
Wow! That's amazing because
but they don't track. You can't track that kind of exercise with a Fitbit. So.
Right.
And none of these things are going to be terribly accurate. They'll get you in,
You're one of the 4 million people on CrossFit?
Yeah.
It says CrossFit now has 4 million members.
Yeah. But you'd never know it since people who do CrossFit are so reluctant to talk about it at all ever. I admire the fact that I've known Sam for as long as I have, and this is the first I've heard of him doing CrossFit. Is it like a religion to a lot of people that you go to CrossFit with, Sam? It seemed there's a vaguely culty, and I know this from a personal trainer buddy of mine that teaches CrossFit. He's like, dude, to some of these people, it's a cult. It really is. It becomes everything in their world.
Yeah, for some people, it really does become everything in their world. But at the same time, they're training all the time. They hang out with friends who train all the time. There's always new dynamic things coming up. There's competitions everywhere, and there's incredible community. Like one of the, working out was always really awful unless you worked with a trainer, because you're in there, you're in your headset, you're alone, you're not talking to anybody. And then you go to CrossFit, where it's like you have great coaches, great programming, and you have this community around you, and everybody's pushing each other, and everybody ends up looking really great, and, sleeping with each other.
Oh, so I think therein lies the attraction to CrossFit. Fitness,
hey,
schmitness.
Pull your pants up, please.
Well, we're off to waddle and sweat our way through the day. Sam is off to go downward face some woman's dog. Have yourself a good one.